Hey everybody, just a quick video demonstrating some of the functionality of the HB700 Utility Features changes we've made for this update coming up, which is 4.0.8. So I am running that here. It has not been sent out to municipalities yet as of today, July 25th. Just waiting for a few final sign-offs from DRA and their vendors before we do, but it should be in towns in the very near future. Again, that's 4.0.8 is the update you need to have for this functionality. As far as adding the HB700 features, it's just a slight change on what we've been doing, which provides some additional calculations with which to enter the values. First off, I'm on a parcel that's just a residential parcel. So if I go to the Features tab and edit it, note that there's nothing new in here because it is residential. So we don't want to be adding these HB700 utility features onto a residential property. But I'd have queued up a handful of utility parcels here. And so now that I'm on a utility parcel, if I go to the features, I can edit it. I've got some new options down here in the lower right corner. In the grid is where we've traditionally modified these or added these in the past. With this new functionality, if you click on these little icons here, you can enter that information here. Now, I'm not an expert in where these numbers come from. My understanding is the utilities provide them, or they're done with some calculations in another application. Our goal here is to simply to provide a place in which to put them. So I am going to enter the transmission assessment here, which is just a straight number. We'll go 2 million. I can add a note on the distribution here, which is in this bottom section of the middle here. I can enter the original cost. There's a little more going on here in terms of the percentages against which we're multiplying these original cost and net book value numbers to get the number we want for the actual value for that. So for the distribution, I enter these two values here. These percentages, if they change, we can update them going forward. And I can add a note for these as well. So if I OK these, notice there's no change in the grid here, but I do see the change in value here from these two transmission and distribution HB700 utility values. And I do see it reflected in the overall feature value of this parcel. I'll leave it to you and or your assessor whether these traditional utility features need to be migrated to this format here from the traditional grid to down here. You can sort that out with your assessor. And if I OK these now, they will display in this grid here, so we know they're there. And they will display on the card. So if I print this current parcel, just to show it on the screen here, I will see, and let me zoom in a little on this section, the features section here. Notice these two new features here, the ones I've just added, there's the value. And in the case of the transmission, there's not a lot of calculations going on. In the case of the distribution, there is some additional information behind this number here, which is related to the viewer of the assessment card in this bottom line here. So it shows the original cost, net book value, and the ratio at which that was calculated. Additionally, we do have changes to the MS1. So we can see those if I just push through here and get to the report itself. Just to preview it here on the screen, if I go 150% and to page 4, would have been helpful if I'd done this beforehand to show the contrast, but there's the $2 million we added for transmission, and the distribution is added into this number here. So these new features we're adding on those utility parcels will bubble up into the MS1 and the tax calculations and on the assessment card. I did note at the last point when displaying the assessment card, if I do here for the current parcel, it does show me the ratio here at which this was calculated because that is an attribute or parameter in this value right here. So you can see I'm right at 99.8. So should that change, one change you may notice is if I go to update the value parameters and I go to system settings and I change this to 102.8. A few things here. We've added this new year attribute to just show when the current use equalization factor, what year this number is associated with. So maybe it's for 2025. I can enter that here. So now if I hit save here, I am going to get this message here. Traditionally, when you updated the current use factor, you're probably in the habit of knowing that you needed to recalculate the land. This just says, hey, you've got one, in this case, one HB700 utility distribution feature that also depends on this equalization factor. So you're going to need to recalculate the features and the land when you're done updating the parameters. So if I go ahead and do that and save this, it's going to tell me that when I recalculate this, I'm going to do features and exemptions and land here. So I'm at 5.7. I don't know if this will create much value change. So there, we see $29,000 in value changes based on the changes I've made here for the equalization ratio. And now if I go back to that parcel, set to current queue, yes, it's changed a little bit there. A few other things to note when changing these. If I were to for some reason try and change the land use for this property from utility electric to something else, let's say commercial industrial, and I try and okay it there, it should give me a message saying that I need to remove the HB700 utility features on this parcel's card, or cards plural, before I can change the land use here. Keep in mind, these are features like any other feature, so they could conceivably be on card 2 or card 3 if this were a multi-card parcel. So if I needed to change this from utility electric to commercial industrial, I would first need to cancel here. And I'd need to go to the features and edit this and go in here. To get rid of these, I can just zero out the values here. It's not like I'm deleting them in the grid, but once the value is gone, it's not going to save those records anymore. There's the change in value, and it's been reflected there. Now I can go and change the land use, and it will not prevent me because these HB700 features have been removed. This should notice no other changes in terms of if you copy a parcel. I'd have to select one in order to do it, but if you copy a parcel, those HB700 features will tail along just like normal features if you elect to copy the features as well. Adding a card, deleting a card, everything else should be the same. So I think that's all that's the changes for these HB700 features. If you have questions or run into problems, do not hesitate to follow up with us. Thanks.